This week's Torah portion, Teze, we're going to go out to war, is a fascinating Torah portion because I think it's probably the only one that tells us about, a scenario, we're going out to war. But most commentators don't take it for its literal meaning, but rather it's a war not with a specific enemy, but a war with our own evil inclinations. It's almost Hasidic right before Hasidism even started. For comparison, next week we read about Kitavo, and you'll come to the land of Israel, and we talk about Mamash when we come to the land. And I think it's very fitting for the Torah, for the month of Elul, because we're talking about becoming better and towards the judgment, Rosh Hashanah. And Rashi has a fascinating link, a lesson to learn between linking. When the first part of the Torah portion, man goes out to war, sees this beautiful woman, not Jewish, but wants to take her for a wife, and we're trying to understand, what he needs to be doing. And right after that, we're told about a couple that have a child that is a ben sorer more. This is a horrific child that doesn't listen, rebukes his parents. He can become a murderer, and as a result, we need to stone this child. It's like the worst sort of thing you could raise. And Rashi links these two together, saying that when a man goes out to war and he sees a beautiful woman, he can take her if he wants. She has to become Jewish. There's a whole procedure, but he has to ask himself, is it his evil inclination that wants this? Does he really want this? What is driving him to make that decision? And you should know, Rashi says, just like this person can start from slipping somewhere which isn't not kosher, but you've got to be very careful what what the reason you want this for. That same person, if he made the wrong decision, is the couple we learn about next that has the child that's the ben sorer more. Meaning each and every one of us, slip in little things, but they can become huge things, and that's something we need to remember, not only for ourselves, but also for our friends, especially in Elul. And it reminds me of a beautiful, even Dostoevsky could have learned from this Rashi something, I'm sure he did. There's a beautiful story told by the Ben Ish Chai in Baghdad. There was a guy, a Yireh Shamayim, right? This very God-fearing Jew. Every Shabbos used to read Psalms, all the book of Psalms. And one day he's reading the book of Psalms, and a few mates come into the synagogue, and he stops in the middle of the verse, starts talking with them, and next thing they start saying something else, and this time he stops in the middle of a word, and that way he keeps on and so on and so forth till he finishes his Psalms, and they go away. He then goes, he has a nap. In this nap he has a dream. In his dream, to his right are two suave looking nice individuals, and he thinks they are Malachei Sharet, the archangels. To his left he sees these two, albeit suave but nasty, ugly, smelly looking people, and he's pretty sure that they are Malachei Chabalah. Don't ask me what Malachei Chabalah are, but they are basically 180 degrees from the archangels, nasty fellows. And Malachei Sharet, the archangels, say to the man, what have you done today? And he says, I studied Psalms. He says, you've studied Psalms? Oh, that's great. We're going up to have a meeting with the big guy, with the king. Let's take, the Psalms that you said, and we'll get your judgment. What do you think? And then they say to him, would you like us to read what you said? He's like, yeah, sure. What do? They read the sequence of words that came out of his mouth from the moment he said Rashra Ish, from the moment he started the first Psalms, continuing with the words he said to his friends, stopping in mid-verse, stopping in mid-word. And he suddenly realizes, not only did he not say Psalms, he created a new sequence of words, a new sequence of Psalms that is actually an abomination, desecrating God's name. And all of a sudden he says, no, don't take that to God. This is horrific what I've said. This isn't Psalms. What I read should be burnt. And then Malachei Chabalah say to the archangels, oh, he's right, it should be burnt, but today's Shabbos, we can't burn it, it's muktzeh, you've got to throw it on the ground. The angels throw it on the ground, the Malachei Chabalah jump to pick it up and say, right, we're going to go up and see what God has to say about this. The moral of the story, of course, is that the person thinks you're doing something good, you're reading Psalms, and you slip. You stop midway, you're not focused on what you're doing, and it can very easily, the corollary can be something horrific. But we think of this week's Torah portion, it can be from going with our evil inclination as something that's not kosher, not wrong, but can lead us there. And if we get used to that, it can even lead to the worst things. Thoughts on the Torah portion of Teze. What is the war we are going out to? Shabbat Shalom.